out. Investigators say DNA testing has confirmed that a body buried along a river in southeastern Michigan is that of little Nevaeh Buchanan. 5-year-old disappeared last month while riding her scooter outside of her apartment complex. We'll take your calls, your comments, your questions, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Joining us to talk about it, we have our experts standing by, including family law attorney Vicki Ziegler, also with us, Mike Brooks, law enforcement analyst, and Dr. Sherry Borg-Carter, a forensic psychiatrist. I'd like to thank you, and again, we'll take your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Mike, how difficult do you think this was to get this ID, again, considering the body was in water and encased in cement?
Yeah, apparently it was just in a shallow grave just off the riverbank, Mike. And, you know, they said that it had been there for a while because the two fishermen, the father and son who found it, apparently had smelled an odor, and he was staying almost right on top of it. So most likely there was some kind of tissue there to do this DNA sample. You know, the girls fit the description, had on basically the same clothes that she had on when her mother last saw her. We almost knew it was her, but, you know, it's news that we really didn't want to hear.
Yeah, let's bring in Dr. Daniel Spitz, forensic pathologist, medical examiner. Doctor, now we want to know, how challenging is it going to be for investigators to get the DNA, the forensics they need to find out who did this? Will we take it from here? Again, a body in water and encased in cement.
Well, that's the key to this investigation, is to figure out who did it. And it starts with, you know, the medical examiner collecting evidence from the body, and while the medical examiner is doing that, investigators at the scene are collecting evidence to try and link somebody to this crime. It's going to be difficult to determine a cause of death in light of the fact that there aren't any obvious traumatic injuries to the body. So while it's not necessary to determine an exact cause of death, because we all know that there's a homicide, the biggest part of this now is going to be collecting evidence to link somebody to the crime.
Right. Mike, as an investigator, obviously you got to be so careful. You can't taint this crime scene. But how difficult does that make the work for investigators with this type of crime scene? And the body obviously has decomposed over the past couple of weeks.
Well, Mike, you're talking about tainting the crime scene. That's why you see the evidence technicians there with those Tyvek suits on to make sure there's no exchange of any trace evidence from them to the crime scene. And, you know, there was a report, Mike, that there was a beer can that was found either underneath the body or next to it. So this beer can, it could be a treasure trove of evidence, because you could get fingerprint evidence, you could get trace evidence, and possibly DNA. Or it might not be related to this case whatsoever. But they should be able to get something off of that can.
Okay, let me, real quick on that, Dr. Spitz, a beer can that's been in water, could it be a treasure trove, or because it's been in water is the likelihood not there?
It could be. I agree with Mike. This could be a key piece of evidence if the assailant has some, you know, belongings or some relationship with this can. It came from them. They were drinking out of it. It could hold key evidence. You know, there's also a possibility that it just happens to be coincidental and near the body, but not related.
Again, we're taking your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Let's go to the phones. Amanda in South Dakota. Hi, Amanda. Your comment or question?
Hi. Yes, I would like to give my condolences to the family about the little Nevaeh, because she is so young and beautiful. But also that, you know, she should have been outside, because I don't leave my 10-year-old outside alone.
Yeah. Amanda, thanks for the call. So many parents have questions about, let's face it, poor judgment by Nevaeh's mother, Jennifer Buchanan. Vicki Ziegler, we have talked about this. You know, we don't want to beat up on the mom. We don't know her involvement. She claims her innocence, but we do question her judgment, obviously, allowing sex offenders in their midst around her 5-year-old, and also letting her run around outside like that, unsupervised. She's 5 years old.
Yeah, apparently she stated that she allowed her 5-year-old to go talk to an 8-year-old outside and ride her scooter. You know, number one, that I think lacks judgment. And number two, allowing sex offenders in your home, spending time with your 5-year-old child who can't defend herself, whether it's supervised or unsupervised, I think it shows a real lack of parental responsibility, which I'm sure the police are focusing on in this investigation.
Yeah. Let's get another call in. Laura in Michigan. Hi, Laura, your thoughts here?
I'd like to see the mother prosecuted for endangering her child. Anyone that subjects their 5-year-old to meeting a sex offender while they've met in a parole office is clearly negligent.
Let's go back again to Vicki. Vicki, Is there grounds for child endangerment here? Let's be clear. George Kennedy or Roy Smith, these are convicted sex offenders who had access to Nevaeh. They're not even suspects yet, so they're innocent until proven guilty. But a lot of callers want to know that. Is there child endangerment here for her running around outside by herself unsupervised, or for allowing these guys around little Nevaeh?
I mean, I think, you know, it's a double-edged sword. I think there has to be more detail as it relates to what transpired when this child actually was abducted. But at the end of the day, you as a parent have an obligation to make sure that your child is safe before they reach the age of majority. And then the question really is here, did Jennifer, the mother of Nevaeh, cause the negligence or allow her child to be unsafe or in harm's way, which in turn would mean that she endangered her child's welfare or safety? And that's really the question that we're going to have to determine once we get more information as it relates to the timeline here when Nevaeh went missing.
And Mike, you know, that's the reason George Kennedy is locked up, because one of his conditions of release was that he could not be around children and he could not be in a relationship with anyone who had a child.
Yeah, George Kennedy convicted of raping a 15-year-old behind a gas station. Again, should have been nowhere near Nevaeh Buchanan. Innocent until proven guilty, but when we talk about possible folks that could be responsible, George Kennedy is someone that's going to be on our radar, and we're going to definitely examine whether or not he has an alibi. Roy Smith, another convicted sex offender who is a friend of George Kennedy's, what's his alibi for that Sunday when little Nevaeh went missing? When you think about the innocence of a little 5-year-old girl on her scooter outside of her house, and there she is, accepting her diploma for graduating kindergarten, I believe, described as so excited to run across the stage and get that diploma. Now we're reporting on her death, that she was buried in a shallow grave in the river encased in cement. It's just horrific. And we'll continue, though, as we search and strive for justice in a case like this. Who could have done this to a cute little 5-year-old? We'll take your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLN.